Going to real estate specifically in probate, what are some of the challenges you see people are, I mean, other than the husband and wife, have you seen any other things kind of coming up with the real estate that is problematic when they're in probate?
So a couple of things that just off the top of my head. One, you were mentioning earlier how sometimes the mortgage stops getting paid because, it might be coming out of an auto bank account and the bank account just dwindles. The mortgage company usually doesn't care who's paying the mortgage as long as the mortgage keeps getting paid. But once it stops getting paid, that's when you start running into issues. So in probate, if I see that there's some issues with the mortgage, the mortgage company's like, hey, third notice that we haven't been paid, you automatically get on the phone and say, hey, this is going through probate. That usually tells the mortgage company, oh, okay, I'm going to stop here because I know that is going through probate. I know that we're going to eventually get this taken care of. It's just going to take a little bit of time because sometimes the probate process can take a little bit of time. You take a couple weeks, maybe a month kind of thing. So there's that. So if you have a situation where it's possible the house is going to go through like foreclosure because the mortgage isn't getting paid, you immediately want to contact the mortgage company. And then they'll start telling you things like, oh, how to become a successor in interest on the mortgage and all that stuff, which is what they're interested in, is getting a new person to be responsible for the mortgage. But just, letting them know that it's going through probate will usually put a stop to that foreclosure process because they know, okay, it's going to take a little bit of time. The second thing, and this is actually kind of important, if you have a house that is not empty, it's vacant because the decedent passed away and nobody else was living there, it's important to maintain insurance on that house. I've actually had a couple of cases where there was a vacant house. It got broken into, things were stolen, stuff was messed up. And the executor or the administrator, the personal representative, is technically responsible for that asset and liable for damage that came to that asset if it's, going to decrease the value to the beneficiaries. Have insurance.
So I want to comment a couple of things on what you said. Yeah, so that's very good advice. That actually, Stephanie, when I am talking with people who reach out to me to talk about, potentially becoming a client, they're already going through this process. They're usually pretty much, they file, they're on their way. But I always ask them, I go, is the house vacant? And if it's vacant, do you have insurance on it? And a lot of times they haven't thought about it, but it's precisely for this reason. Also, if it's vacant, there's a risk of squatters going in there. I've had multiple situations where there were, squatters had taken over and now they had to go into an eviction process and get them out of there. It's not so straightforward. You can't just go in there and drag them out by their hair. So it is a serious matter.